Welcome, everybody. Welcome. Thank you for joining me today. We're going to be doing a live Q&A on how to get shippers as a freight broker in 2024. That's what we're going to talk about today. So we're going to be doing the live Q&A. I'm not going to be doing a training. This is going to be a Q&A session only. Okay. So hold tight here. Hold your questions. Don't type them in the chat box yet. I'll let you know. We're going to do some shout outs first. As you log in, hit me up in the comments with the city and state you're logging in from. And I'll try to do some shout outs and then we'll jump into the live Q&A. Again, today we're focused in on freight broker sales. We're focused in on how to get shippers as a freight broker or a freight agent. And so, yeah, that's where we're at, guys. I hope you guys are excited. We've got a bunch of people that are logging in live. That's awesome. And I'm ready to go. So let's see who we got. We got Angela from Tampa/Nashville. Love it. Carl from Bethlehem, Georgia. Renee from Rochester. Love it. Local girl. I'm in Buffalo, so we're right close to each other. Arthur from Irvine, California. Corey from Billing, Montana's, as always. A.K. Sokima from Seattle, Washington. Dennis from Tampa, Florida. Hey, I like that guy already. Giovanni, welcome. All right, hold your questions. Again, Giovanni and everybody, hold your questions until the end because I am going to be doing a live Q&A, but we're going to kind of warm up here, get some people live, and let me make sure, let me adjust my lighting here a little bit. Okay, cool. That works. Who else we got? Tej Sethi from Toronto, Ontario. Thank you. Tej has been one of my success story interviews on YouTube. You could check that out. Is growing an amazing business, converted from owning a trucking company to becoming a broker. And then I think he got rid of his trucks, if I'm not mistaken. And now he's a full-time broker. So, and having a lot of success. Alexander from Chicago, Illinois. All right. So we got people from joining us from all over. And I'm going to grab a quick drink and then we're going to get the show on the road. Okay. So, but hold tight on your questions because again, when they come in, they kind of come in fast and furious because I'm streaming this not only on LinkedIn, but on YouTube and on Facebook. So it's hard sometimes to keep up. So hold tight here. Oh, who else drinks Bai? You guys drink Bai? Oh my God, this is the greatest thing in the world. I don't drink coffee. So this is usually what I drink in the morning. It's got caffeine in it. And this is a Zambia Bing Cherry. I mean, they're not a sponsor or anything, but dude, I've been drinking this for years. I love it. The blueberry is really good too. Shannon from Georgia. Case Transportation from Pasadena. Amrit from Toronto. Love it. Awesome. Shaka Robinson from Hope Mills, North Carolina. Yeah, we got people from all over. I'm excited. Thank you for being here. Let me just, well, I don't have any notes today. I don't have an agenda because I'm not doing a training. So let me explain to you what we're doing, okay? Because I want to be very clear what we're doing. This Q&A is dedicated specifically to how to get shippers as a freight broker. It's focused around freight broker sales techniques, strategies, systems, okay? So that's what we're going to do. Now, the reason why I decided to do this live Q&A today is because I'm actually going to be releasing my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, okay? My Freight Broker Sales Accelerator program, which is a coaching program, a freight broker sales coaching program. It's a weekly program where I teach you my best freight broker sales strategies, tactics, and tools, and I help transplant them into your head so that you can get shippers. Again, this is the same sales system that I use to do over $200 million as a freight broker. So we've had over 1,000 people go through that program, but the only way you can get on the program, it's sold out, but I am about to reopen it, okay, for enrollment. So the only way you'll get notified of the details is if you are on the wait list. You see the link on the screen, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. It's free to get on the wait list. The training is not free. It's not cheap, but it's worth the investment. You can get a huge ROI on your investment. Matter of fact, one of my students, one of my clients recently told me that he got a 50x return on your investment. So if you invested $5,000, that would be a $250,000 return on the investment. Okay. So that's just giving you an example of the type of returns that some of my clients are getting after going through the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Okay. So get on the wait list. And then again, that's part of the reason why we're doing this today, because I am going to be opening that up. My goal is to have that open up tomorrow. So if you're on the wait list, you'll get notified on exactly all the details and how you can get enrolled. Okay. So if you're struggling to get shippers, or maybe you're an existing broker agent and maybe you're kind of in a rut and you need to re-stimulate, some of the ideas and strategies and develop a system on how to predictably get shippers in any business climate, get on the wait list. I can't make it any more simple. Okay. All right. So today I'm doing a live Q&A about how to get shippers as a freight broker in 2024. So that's what we're focused on today. So if you have sales questions, if you're struggling with getting shippers, if you're a freight agent or a freight broker, maybe you're someone who just really needs to dive back in and brush up on your sales skills, this sales Q&A is for you. So hit me up in the questions, hit me up in the comments with any questions you have. Please keep the questions geared towards how to get shippers and freight broker sales. I'm not going to be answering questions about how to get my authority. I'm not going to be asking questions about how to use load boards. I'm not going to be answering questions about non-related questions that are not freight broker sales or how to get shipper specific related questions. So if you have questions about any of that, hit me up in the comments now. And cold calling. Oh, I don't know how that happened, but thank you for pointing that out. That would have been a disaster. You guys are good now. You can hear me now, right? It just automatically muted. I don't know what happened. I didn't even touch it. Very temperamental, this technology. Okay, can you hear me now? Let me know if you guys can hear me. Still no. We're back. Okay. You're back now? You're not back now. Yes or no? I'm getting mixed answers here. I don't want to move forward until... Okay. All right. Everybody's got it. Okay. So if you can't hear me, fixes on your end. Okay. Because if one person can hear me, everybody can hear me. Okay. All right, cool. All right. So let's jump into Q&A. What questions you guys have about getting shippers as a freight broker in 2024? Let's talk. Hit me up. I'm waiting. I'm ready. I'm here. I'm counting on you guys to ask good questions, right? So hang tight, because I know people will come up with some questions, but you guys are a little shy today. Who's going to be the guinea pig? Who's going to break the ice? Who's going to ask the first good question? I've given you guys some topics. Hey, listen, if you guys are all set and don't need this Q&A, I'm good. I'll let you guys go do your day. I'll do mine, and we'll meet somewhere in the middle, maybe on the back end of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. But we got 30 some people in the live stream. You got to be specific with your questions, though. Okay, Kim, I'll touch on your topic here in a second, but you got to be pretty specific. So Kim asked a question: how to prospect. Well, how to prospect is a really general question, but the primary way that freight brokers prospect for new shippers are cold calling over the phone, cold emailing, sending an email to someone you don't know and having, a good hook, using LinkedIn as a social selling tool, face-to-face, kind of like door-to-door, going to companies direct face-to-face. And then the fifth one is referrals. Those are probably the 5 primary ways that freight brokers and freight agents get shippers. Okay, so those are the general, those are kind of the channels and strategies that most freight brokers use, with a heavy percentage of them focused very heavily on phone and email. Some of them use LinkedIn, some of them do face-to-face, and some of them ask for referrals, but those would probably be, if you have a secondary question on that, feel free to ask. All right, so now the questions are streaming in here. Arthur, I don't know that I understand your question. How do you go about phone routing strategy? I don't, be more specific. I'm not sure what you mean, phone routing. Help me to better understand. Nico asks, what do you think are the most vital questions to ask to try to set up the first customer meeting? Okay, good question. So there are a lot of questions that you can ask, but they're not all good questions, right? So let me give you a couple of questions that I don't like, okay? And then this might steer you in the right direction, and we'll try to give you a couple of good questions. So questions that I don't like that freight brokers ask shippers are, so tell me, what type of products do you ship? You should already know that. If you haven't done your research, you should already know that. You asking that question to a shipper tells them that you have absolutely zero clue about their business. So why in the hell would they want to do business with you when you have no clue what they do? Okay, so don't ask that question. So tell me, what type of products do you ship? Terrible question. People do it all the time, though. It drives me crazy. So get rid of that. That's a really big one. Questions that you can ask that will kind of help gather some sales intelligence and try to frame you as more of an expert and someone that's taking a consultative selling approach might be something like, so how do you see your role changing in the next 6 to 12 months? Or how do you see this challenge impacting you in the next 6 to 12 months? Right? So those are the types of questions that they're not going to be able to answer with a yes or no. They're open-ended questions. They're going to have to actually have a dialogue with you, which is one of the key things that you need as a freight broker to get shippers. You have to have a two-way conversation. If it's all you talking and then they're just responding with yes or no, it's going to be a short conversation, right? So you need to get them talking. And so those types of questions will work really well. I actually have, let me see something. I'm pretty sure I have a cheat sheet here for you. Hold on. Let me see if I got a cheat sheet for you about these questions. Hold on. Pretty sure I do. Hold on. I'll pull one up for you because I think this will really help you. Hold on. Sorry. Okay, so here is a post I'm going to give you. Sorry for the delay, but I'm going to put it in the chat. Put it in the comments, okay? So this is, I just put it in there, okay? You can see the link to it, all right? You can go in there and get that link. Those are, what that is 8 killer sales questions that every freight broker needs to know. Okay, so these are some good questions, like what are the top challenges that you're currently facing, right? What do you like most about your current provider? What's the decision-making process for adding a new transportation partner? How do you see your needs changing in the next 6, 12, 18 months, right? What would have to happen? This is one of my favorite questions. This is a question that I completely created. I'd never heard anybody ask this type of question before, and it works really, really well. It's number 5 on that list that you guys can check out at that link I shared with you. It's what would have to happen for your boss to give you a great review and possibly a raise in the next year? Maybe I can help. Great question. Okay. Now you have to have a little bit of rapport there in order to ask that question, but it is a really good question. So there's a bunch of questions there on that link that you guys can check out. It's in the comments. I did actually put it in the comments, so you guys should be able to do it there. So I hope that helps. Let me get back into the questions here. Jordan, because this is about how to get shippers, I'm going to answer it. What would you say about freight load boards like UShip, Freightstar, and Veritred? I think they're garbage. I think that any freight broker who thinks they're going to get good quality shippers from a load board like a UShip or these other ones, they're bullshit. I've never, ever in 20 years seen a broker or an agent build a real business trying to bottom feed off of a load board that shippers trying to troll for cheap rates. I'm sorry, my opinion is so strong. Actually, I'm not sorry, but that's my opinion. No, I don't think that those are good sources to get shippers. I think the way to get shippers is to have a system on how to, get their attention, right? Differentiate yourself from the crowd, right? And then at that point, use social proof and some other strategies that I teach in my Freight Broker Sales Accelerator to actually secure relationships with shippers that have a need and not just trying to get cheap rates. Because that's all the people on the load boards are trying to do. Or they're tiny shippers, right? They have one load that they ship a month or a couple loads a quarter. I mean, they're so small that they're going to be meaningless, right, to your business. So yeah, Jordan, that's my 2 cents. Hope it helps. David, it says, I primarily service the chemical industry, hazmat, hard to get new business. Well, explain to me why. Why is it hard? And maybe I can help. Okay, Miramet says, what do you think is the most critical factor in maintaining strong relationships with shippers as a freight broker? It's very, very simple. Do what you say you're going to do. Let me say that again. I'm going to repeat it. Do what you say you're going to do. Follow through on anything you say you're going to do. If you tell them you're going to call them in 5 minutes, call them in 5 minutes, not 10 minutes. If you say you're going to send them a quote in 15 minutes via email, send the quote in 15 minutes, not 30 minutes. If you say that you're going to pick up a load at X time, right, at 9 a.m., don't pick it up at 9:30. Okay? When you say something, you have to do it, which falls back on the whole concept of under promise, over deliver, right? As opposed to what a lot of freight brokers do, which is over promise, under deliver, right? So you don't want to do that. So that is the easiest way to maintain. That's the fundamental, that's the foundation, that's the baseline, because that is where your trust is built, right? When you get your first load from a shipper, they trust you just enough to give you an opportunity, but they're definitely not going to entrust a whole lot of business to you, right? They're testing you. If you do good on the first load and you do everything you say you're going to do, then maybe they'll give you a second load. And then if you do it again, they'll give you a third load. And if you do it again, they'll give you a fourth load. But if in that string of loads, you blow it and you don't do what you say you're going to do, well, then there's a very good chance that you're not going to either get any more freight or it's going to slow the freight down dramatically. They will only promote you to the level of incompetence, meaning they'll only allow you to handle the amount of freight that they feel comfortable that they can trust you with, because you deliver and not just talk, but you actually execute. Okay. So I think that's the fundamental. I hope that helps. Dennis asks, can we trust in factory companies to bring them our customers' information? Oh, factoring. Okay. So the question is, can we trust in factoring companies to bring them our customer information? Yes, absolutely. Factoring companies are not freight brokers. Factoring companies they agree contractually that they will not share your customer data with competitors, with other freight brokers, with other logistics companies. Factoring companies make money by providing a cash flow and financing service. They don't make money by going out to shippers and moving their loads. That's not what they do. It's a totally different business model. Now, I would obviously vet any business that I was going to do business with, whether they're a factoring company, a trucking company, a shipper, anybody that I'm going to do business with, I would vet them and make sure that they have a good reputation. But yeah, I've never personally in 20 years ever heard of a factoring company being accused of giving away customer data to a competitor. So I just don't think it happens. I guess it possibly could with someone who's unscrupulous or has a bad reputation, but that word would travel so fast that that they'd be out of business in hours, not minutes, right? Not days. So I hope that helps. Okay, Vicky. Vicky says, I make calls and send emails. I haven't gotten a shipper yet. Why do you think that is? I mean, it's very hard for me to answer a question like that because I'm not quite sure what it is you're doing. But if you want to try to clarify with a follow-up question, I'll try to build upon this a little bit. And that is the reason why most people, okay, and I can't say it's you, but I'm going to say most people struggle and aren't getting shippers after making calls and after sending emails. Number one, it depends upon how many you've made, right? If you tell me you've made 50 phone calls and you've sent 50 emails and you haven't gotten a shipper yet, well, I'm going to tell you welcome to sales, okay? Because that's not how it works, especially when you first start out. So you need to build a sales funnel. You need to develop a process and a system that allows you to get shippers consistently. And part of that is obviously filling your sales funnel and filling your sales pipeline, which is what we spend a lot of time on in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. But yeah, I think a lot of the reason why people struggle in that area is because they sound like everybody else. So maybe they pick up a generic script or one of these horrible freight broker generic scripts like, oh, hey, my name's Dennis. I'm a freight broker with XYZ. We could save you some money on your freight. Can I quote on your freight? Right? Terrible pitch. Terrible. Okay? Lots of reasons why it's terrible. Just don't do it. Another one, oh, hey, my name's Dennis. I'm with ABC Logistics. We got trucks in your area, and I was just wondering if we might be able to move some of your loads. Terrible for a whole bunch of reasons that I don't even want to explain right now. Just don't do it. But if you create a compelling sales hook, which is a big part of what I teach in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, if you learn how to create a compelling sales hook that allows you to stand out from the crowd, differentiate yourself, and most importantly, get their attention so that they actually listen to you for 1 minute, right? So you can go into your presentation and so you can explain the value, then that makes all the difference. But what I find is that most people that are getting some sort of rejection, especially if they're in the startup phase, it's the script. It's either the script they're using or they sound like they're reading or they sound mechanical, right? Those are two of the biggest challenges, particularly with freight broker startups that have started in the sales, trying to fill their sales pipeline and aren't getting a lot of feedback. If you have a follow-up question, let me know. Okay, question from Arthur. I have a question. What do you do when your phone call gets routed to AI? Okay, well, that's a good question. So let's say you call the main company line, right? The main company line. You got ABC Widget Company and they've got a published number. And you call that number and you ask for the shipping or logistics department or whatever. But you get routed into some sort of a call, AI call or phone system, that's an endless, bottomless pit where you can never get anybody live. Well, here's what we know. Sometimes leaving a message will work, but most of the time it won't. It's worth leaving a message for a specific person if you can get to their voicemail box. But the problem is just leaving voicemails day after day, week after week are not necessarily going to get you the results that you're looking for. Now, if you have a compelling sales hook and you're able to convey that in your voicemail, right? Well, then that could make a big difference. That's part of what I teach in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is my winning voicemail blueprint, which is teaching how to do that. But what we know is that the phone is going to be a challenge. So what do we got to do? What we have to do is we have to figure out other channels where we can get through. So for example, maybe email. Maybe we could do some cold emailing, find their email address using different tools online like Apollo or Hunter.io or all these different SaaS tools that allow you to find emails, right? You could do some cold email outreach and try to get through that way. You could connect with them on LinkedIn, engage with them on LinkedIn. LinkedIn is one of my favorite ways to prospect. As a freight broker and my freight brokers, we generated over $20 million in annual recurring revenue using LinkedIn without making any cold calls. Okay? So you can use LinkedIn that way to build your business, but you got to have the right system. Again, a big part of what we teach in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. You could go face-to-face, right? You could do direct mail, for example. You've probably heard all kinds of unique and interesting ideas on how you might be able to send something to a prospect to get their attention. Here's a simple one. If you know that a company is worth it and you really want to get their attention and you're willing to spend $50, okay, to get their attention and to start a dialogue, what would happen if you simply had a pizza or Chinese food or whatever their favorite food is delivered to their dock, delivered to their office with a note on it that says something interesting, like been trying to reach you, Joe, and then your phone number. Something simple. Doesn't have to be crazy. Doesn't have to be super unique. I mean, that's just a simple example of how to stand out from the crowd. Okay. But the answer to your question is if you're struggling with the phone and you can't get through because of AI or technology, those are a couple of other strategies. The other thing you might be able to do is get through a different department. So go to marketing or go to sales or go to finance or accounting. And then when you get into there and you get somebody live, what you want to do is you want to say, hey, I'm wondering if you can help me out. I think I got transferred to the wrong department. Could I talk to Joe in shipping and see if they can directly connect you to that person? That's another strategy that might work well. So there's a few things you can do. I hope that help. All right, Nico says, you commented good hook to initiate a response back from a cold email. Can you provide us with an example of a good hook? Okay, so the secret to having and creating a compelling sales hook is to gather sales intelligence, okay? Sales intelligence is any data that you can collect about the company or the prospect or the industry that you're niching down and targeting, and leverage that as a way to enhance the opportunity to get the sale. So I'm going to give you a perfect example, okay? It's a really easy example for people to understand. Let's say, for example, before you called XYZ widget company, you checked out their website, you checked out LinkedIn, you did a quick search on Google, and you found out that they had recently acquired another company in their space, right? In their industry, right? XYZ widgets had just acquired ABC widgets. And there's a press release about it. There's an article about it. There's news information. It's out there, right? And maybe that happened 3 to 6 months ago, right? So here's a sales hook you could use for that. Perfect example. If you're reaching out, whether that be through email or through phone or through LinkedIn, you're going to use that sales intelligence as the lead in. So what you might say is, hey, Joe, congratulations. I just heard that you guys acquired ABC. Just wanted to let you know that I specialize in helping companies that have recently acquired and are now merging logistics in their supply chain, period. Curious how this, I'm curious how this merger might be impacting your business or might be impacting your role within the company. That's a perfect example. Do you see how it's relevant? Do you see how it's contextual? Do you see how it's different than every other pitch that they got today, this week, or this month? That's how you use sales intelligence, okay? It's got to be relevant and contextual and compelling and interesting and unique. And the way you do that is before every phone call, you don't just randomly dial the phone. Oh, here's the number, 555-12-1212, and then just say, oh, what do you guys ship? Or tell me about your product. That's terrible. What you want to do is you want to spend 3 to 5 minutes gathering some sales intelligence. I'm a big believer in quality over quantity. Now, yes, you have to make a decent amount of calls. You do have to fill your pipeline. But I'm not a big believer in this 100 to 200 calls a day strategy, right? I'm much more a believer in being educated about your prospect, about their industry, and about the contact, and using that to make 50 phone calls a day. So you're going to cut down on the volume, but there's going to be highly educated calls. So the quality of the conversations you're going to have is going to be significantly better. You're going to get more people's attention. You're going to have more meaningful conversations. And that's the system that I teach. So I hope that helps, Nico. You could use that sales hook on the phone, email, or LinkedIn. It doesn't matter, right? Or you could use it face-to-face too, for that matter. Did we lose sound again? I don't think so. Can you guys still hear me? Let me know if you guys can hear me. I got a million questions here, but I think you guys can all still hear me. So I'm scrolling. Let me just look for more questions here. Ula Manzira asks, hey, Dennis, do you think it's a good idea to partner with liquidation auctions? Well, I'm not sure what you mean by partner with them. So I'm assuming like an auction, a liquidation auction is where a company will bring their goods that they want to liquidate and they auction them off to buyers. And then those buyers then have to somehow ship those goods, right? So I think I'm trying to connect the dots here, right? So I'm not sure what you mean by partnering with the liquidation auction or what that would entail, but developing a relationship with them probably makes sense because you might be able to get some referrals, right? So they know who their buyers and their sellers are because they keep track of all that. So maybe you would want to develop a relationship with them and have some sort of a referral system, a referral partnership. If they have buyers and sellers that are shipping goods that are in your niche, then I think it's definitely worth an experiment. Again, I can't promise you that they're going to want to partner with you. But again, if you want to get warm introductions and you want to get referrals, that's the type of relationships that can really give you an incredible return on investment of your time. So yeah, good question. Okay, here's a question from TMP Hustle. I use Seamless AI to get past the gatekeeper, but how do you determine who is the right person to talk to if the job titles are not direct? Okay, so the primary job titles that you'll be looking for within a shipper are shipping manager, logistics manager, transportation manager, supply chain manager, warehouse manager, or some facsimile of those. Okay. So if you don't have the contacts that are in the shipping, logistics, transportation, supply chain department, where do you go from there? Well, that's the hard part, right? Most companies are going to, unless they're very small, are going to have some dedicated people in those roles. The best place to find them, if you can't find them on Apollo or Seamless or any of these other sources, is probably LinkedIn, or maybe you can do a Google search. But ultimately, if you don't have those contacts, the only thing you can do from there is try to work your way into another department. Like, for example, customer service or sales or finance. Make a friend, make an ally, ask for some help and just say, hey, I'm wondering if you can help me out. I'm trying to find out who is, or trying to understand, have a conversation with, you're recruiting and asking for some help, and see if you can make a friend and find out who that contact is, who's responsible, or who would be the best person to talk to about shipping, logistics, transportation, and then see what they say. They may say, oh, that's Joe Smith. Or they may say, that's a really good question. I don't know. Let me look it up in the directory. Or they may say, oh, listen, I'm going to transfer you back to the switchboard. You might not get any help, but you don't know unless you try. Okay. So that's one way that you can try to find out who the person is that you need to talk to if they don't fit one of those specific titles. Arthur, I don't know what you're talking about. You just continue to spam the comment box. If you call a shipper, you're going to piss them off. Are you out of your mind? What's wrong with you? Dude, I've done $200 million as a freight broker. I've trained 10,000 students how to become freight brokers and freight agents. I've got dozens and dozens of success stories of brokers doing 7 and 8 figures. Where do they do it? 9 out of 10 of them do it over the phone. Okay? Just the way it is. So, listen, I'm going to respectfully disagree with you. If you're struggling to get shippers, well, then maybe you need to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, or maybe you need to, maybe just consume some of my free content on LinkedIn or on YouTube, the Freight Broker Sales, the playlists and things I have there. But listen, just continuing to spam the comments is going to do nothing but get you ejected. Okay. Renee asks, what kind of message should you use for voicemail? Okay. So when you want to leave a voicemail as a salesperson, there's a little bit of a framework. Number one, you want to keep it relatively short. Okay. Number two, you want to create a compelling sales hook. Right? You shouldn't say, hi, my name's Dennis. I'm a freight broker with XYZ. Call me back at 555-1212. That's not going to get a reply. Okay. Nobody's going to respond to that. Okay. But if you leave a voicemail that is thoughtful and interesting and unique and compelling and is different than what they continue to hear day after day after day after day, well, then you have a chance at getting a response. But here's what I'm going to tell you. A very heavy percentage of your voicemails are not going to get a reply. But here's the value, okay? It's a touch point, right? So let me explain to you what the theory on this, okay? If you've called them and left a voicemail, and you've emailed them, and you've connected with them on LinkedIn, and you've engaged with some of their content on LinkedIn, and you've sent them a few LinkedIn messages, and you've sent them a few emails, and you've continued to follow up with them, when you do get them on the phone, they are going to remember you because of those multiple touch points. But if you just call and leave a voicemail and you don't do anything else and you think that's going to work, it's not. You have to, it's going to take 6, 8, 10 contacts on average to land a B2B client, to land a shipper. It's not going to happen in 1. It's not going to happen in 2 in most cases, or 3. It's going to take 6, 8, 10 or more contacts through various channels. I take a multi-channel outreach approach, meaning I don't just use the phone. I don't just use email. I don't just use LinkedIn, right? I use all those channels as a way to increase the luck surface area that we have of trying to start a dialogue with that person. Okay. All right. So I hope that helps. Oh, as far as the voicemail, again, you're going to use a framework is you want to keep it short. You don't want to give your phone number until the end, and you want to use sales intelligence to stand out from the crowd. That perfect example I gave you about how a company was recently acquired, that's an example. There's a lot of different ways you can do that. What I can tell you is there is no generic one-size-all voicemail message, just like there's no generic one-size-fits-all cold call script. That's the problem. Everybody tries to make this a one-off, script. It doesn't work that way. Not today. Okay? Not today. It doesn't work that way. You need to be unique. You need to be different. You need to stand out from the crowd. That's the key. Okay, question from Cynthia. If you were told by a carrier that is delivered to a shipper and the shipper gives you the name of the contact, How do you go about introducing yourself? Okay, so the question is, if you are told by a carrier and you're a freight broker that is delivered to a shipper and gives you the name of the contact, how do you go about introducing yourself? Well, Cynthia, it was a referral. Hopefully that driver knows who knows that contact, or you bridge the gap. You say, "Hey, Cynthia, my name's Dennis. Recently I was talking to Joe from XYZ Trucking, and he gave me your name and number to reach out because he had just delivered a load to your dock last Thursday, and I just wanted to reach out and introduce myself real quick." That's how you bridge the gap. So you're creating some sort of familiarity. It's no longer a cold call. Even though they don't know who you are, you were referred in by somebody that he may personally know, and or somebody that has already delivered freight to that dock. I mean, there's a lot of variations of that, but that's a very simple off the cuff way to do it. You would leverage their name and company and the sales intelligence that you have to differentiate yourself. You wouldn't just call in and do a cold call. You would connect the dots, right? You want to connect the dots because that's going to increase the likelihood that they're going to actually talk to you, right? And not treat you like every other cold call. So I hope that helps. Okay, question from Ayana. Sales advice for a brand new brokerage. We are a carrier, but expanding into brokering. I have been a broker for years, but nervous about starting from scratch with only a carrier reputation. Okay, sales advice. All right, so here's some advice for you as a freight broker startup. You need to niche down. Find a niche. Don't boil the ocean, right? Don't try to be everything to everybody. Find a niche and then brand yourself to that niche. Brand your email signature, brand your conversations, brand your website, brand your marketing materials. Try to position yourself as an expert and an authority around that niche. Okay, that's number two. From there, again, you're going to use and create compelling sales hooks using sales intelligence about that niche, about that industry, about the company, about the prospect. And your goal when you get them on the phone is to be different. You don't want to sound like everybody else unless you want to get treated like everybody else. If you just want to get ignored, or you want to get hung up on, or you want to get instant rejection, well, then sound like everybody else and use those old, terrible sales pitch, right? Cold call pitch. If you want to stand out from the crowd, then you need to differentiate yourself. Okay. And so those are a few tips. I think those will get you going in the right direction. And if you guys are curious about becoming, or not about becoming, but if you guys are curious about the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, which is, I'm hoping to open up tomorrow. I'm going to be opening enrollment tomorrow. Okay. I am going to be hand selecting a very small group. Right now, it's only going to be between 10 and 20 people that are going to be in that program. Okay. But if you want an opportunity to be a part of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, you got to get on the wait list. FreightBrokerBootcamp.com/waitlist. It's the only way you can get in line and have an opportunity. And again, I am going to be hand selecting and doing a call and approving every single person that's going to be a part of that program. Okay. So you got to get on the wait list. And I'm hoping I'm going to have all the I's dotted and T's crossed by tomorrow so we can open enrollment and we can get the ball rolling. Okay. And it's a brand new version 2.0 of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. I've enhanced it. I've made a lot of changes. I've added it based on customer feedback, based upon over 1,000 students that have went through the program. And so, yeah, get on the wait list. Can't make it any more clear. Okay, I'm scrolling. Give me a minute. Mayhem, this is a good question. How would you show confidence and experience as a broker that just started with no experience? This is a really good question. Okay. So the key to this is to practice. I can't make it any more simple. You don't want to sound like you're reading. You don't want to sound like you're stumbling and bumbling. You want to understand the lingo. So that means number one, you need to gather sales intelligence and truly understand who your target market is. That's one of the primary reasons why I like to niche down. If you're going to focus on the paper industry, then learn everything you can about the paper industry, manufacturing, distribution, all of it. Learn as much as you can. I mean, you don't need to have your PhD, but in a couple of hours of research, you could probably know more than 95% of the people in the world about the paper industry, as long as you can read and use Google. Okay, so educate yourself about your niche. And then before you make the phone calls, educate yourself about the company and the prospect, who the shipping manager, logistics manager is. Use LinkedIn, use Google, use their website, gather sales intelligence. And then again, it's like beating a dead horse, but create a compelling sales hook and practice the script. You have to have the ability to flow, right? You need to practice your outreach, your cold call outreach. I didn't always sound like this. I promise you, I didn't always sound like this, right? When I got my first sales job back in 1992, I was a sniveling, miserable, the worst salesperson that the company had ever hired in the history of the company. And I promise you, that's self-proclaimed. And I think they would agree if they were here today. I used to sit at my desk and I would mumble into the phone, and I was in this cubicle and I would talk, and I wouldn't want anybody to see or hear me. And it was terrible. I had zero confidence. Nobody was going to buy from me. Nobody was going to buy from me. Okay. So you have to develop that inner confidence that what you're saying is right. What you're saying is correct. You have to have enough confidence. You know, there's that old adage, right? Fake it till you make it. And it's not my favorite saying, but you do have to exude confidence. And then every phone call, your confidence will build. And every load that you move, your confidence will build. And every customer that you get, your confidence will build. But the fact is that everybody is bad before they're good. It's just the process. I don't care what it is. I don't care if it's sales. I don't care if it's doing videos. I don't care what it is, whatever skill you're trying to develop, everybody is bad before they're good. Okay. And that's how it works. We have to work through that process. So I think some of the biggest things you can do is to have a mentor, a coach, and a real system, rather than just randomly trying to use these boring and ununique and non-compelling scripts that you find on the internet or that other coaches share with you, and figure out a way to be different. Figure out a way to have a multi-touch point outreach strategy using a compelling sales hook, understanding how to ask good questions and overcome objections, understanding how to develop and retain your clients, right? Those are the fundamentals of the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator, okay? And that's the reason why I put it together. I put this together a few years ago after having hundreds of people ask me for a decade to do it, okay? And I didn't do it. And then a couple years ago, I finally decided to sit down. The reason why I didn't, because I knew it was going to take me hundreds of hours to put this program together. So I finally put it together with a lot of feedback from students and people in the industry. And I launched it. And so far, over 1,000 students have went through that program. And we have a 9.2 out of 10 rating. That means out of the 1,000 students that have completed the program, we did an exit survey with them. And the ones that completed the survey rated us as a 9.2 out of 10. I would have been happy with a 7, ecstatic with an 8. We got a 9.2. Best program I ever put together. It's not cheap. It's definitely not free. But if you want to get on the wait list, freightbrokerbootcamp.com/waitlist. I hope that helps. Okay. We got rid of Arthur. I mean, he was just spamming the comments. It was so ridiculous. Good Lord, we couldn't get anything done. Question from Bashir. Can a 20-year-old get into the business? I'm currently reaching out to shippers through cold email and warm calling, but still don't have my MC yet. Currently waiting on a response from FMCSA. Can a 20-year-old get in the business? Yes, of course. Yeah. As long as you're of legal age, 18 or older, you can become a licensed freight broker or a freight agent. So, I personally don't recommend that you do a lot of outreach to prospects before you are an agent or get your freight broker authority, because what if they say yes, and then you got to tell them, well, I'm waiting on my authority, right? It's not a good look, right? I wouldn't put the cart before the horse, right? I think that's what this is doing. I would be preparing and educating myself about my niche. I'd be preparing and educating myself about the prospects and the companies I'm going into business with. I'd create a bunch of compelling sales hooks. I'd be practicing how to overcome objections. I'd be doing a lot of the things that you need to do in order to develop the skills necessary, but I probably wouldn't be doing outreach unless I was an active freight agent or an active broker. That's just my 2 cents. What time is it? Oh, Jesus. All right. We got to run here in a minute. Hold on a minute. Let me see if I got anything else. I'm scrolling for a question I haven't answered already. So give me a second. Okay, Nico, when prospecting for new shippers, what role do you believe is the best fit in the organization to try to reach out to? Shipping manager, logistics manager, transportation manager, supply chain manager, warehouse manager. Those 5. Those are the 5 primary contacts that are going to get you directly to the person who's in that department and is helping to manage, run, or help in that realm. Okay, so I hope that helps. Okay, I'm scrolling. Just give me a minute. Question from Alexander. How often do shippers refer carriers to each other? Or do they keep it a secret? Oh, shippers. Oh, yes. So if you're a logistics manager, traffic manager, transportation manager, warehouse manager, and let's say, for example, you have vendors that you do business with or suppliers that you buy from, and they're struggling with some sort of logistics or shipping or trucking need, it's not uncommon for them to share contact information. Yeah, it's not uncommon. If they're part of a networking group of some sort, like a transportation club, it's not uncommon for that. If they go to industry events, like say they're in the bottled beverage industry, and at the bottled beverage convention or whatever, they meet up with other people that are in the logistics. It wouldn't be uncommon for them to share carrier and broker information. Yeah, it wouldn't be uncommon at all. Now, how often does it happen? I don't know, but it wouldn't be uncommon. I don't think that most shippers are concerned about keeping that carrier or broker secret, because that carrier or broker has different needs than they do. So it's not like their chances are they're not going to be pulling the same capacity away from each other. Okay. So I hope that helps. Shannon asks, should I keep using the free LinkedIn or pay for it as a new brokerage? I already have a Send, TMS, and DAT, just making sure I'm aware of the costs and shippers are coming slowly. Okay, Shannon, so here's what I would do. I would continue using the free LinkedIn account until you start bumping your head on the ceiling and it starts preventing you from making progress. So there are some limitations in the number of searches you can do. There are some limitations in the amount and being able to send different messages. There are some limitations At some point, you will start bumping your head on the ceiling. But my suggestion is use the free account as long as you can to try to convert and get one shipper, because then when you get that one shipper, you move that first load. Let's say you make a couple $100. Now you've made enough money to finance increasing it to a paid subscription, like a Freight Broker Sales or like a LinkedIn Sales Navigator or a business account. There's multiple accounts, different types of accounts that you can use in order to enhance the capabilities on a paid basis. So yeah, that's my answer. I hope that makes sense. Yeah, and I agree. Keep your costs down as much as you can. And then once you start generating some money, reinvest that money into the business to enhance it with tools and other ways to create opportunities. I'm scrolling. Give me a minute. Sure, Nico. Just shoot me a connection request. We'll connect, buddy. All right. So I think okay, Dennis has a question. Please talk about PTL, how to get quotes, partial truckloads. Okay. So pricing a partial truckload can be challenging. It's not nearly as easy as pricing a full truckload. Okay. So a PTL is called a partial truckload, and FTL is called the full truckload. You know, for a full truckload, it's simple. You know, you can go on the load boards, you can post a load, you can talk to 5 carriers, you can negotiate kind of an average and understand where the market is, what it would cost you. Let's say that's $1,000 to move from point A to point B, just for easy math. Okay. So full truckload's pretty easy. You know, it's going to cost you $1,000. You add $200 to the top and you give an all-in quote to the shipper for $1,200. But with a partial truckload, it's not quite that easy, but you still need to understand the cost of a full truckload. Okay. So you start with the cost of a full truckload, and then you kind of work your way backwards. So if $1,000 for a full truckload to go from A to B, you know, it might stand to reason that it would be $500 for a half truckload and $250 for a quarter truckload. But I'm here to tell you that that won't work. Okay. That does not work. It's not a direct fraction of the full truckload cost. What I have found is that your quarter truck, right? And I'm giving you quarter, half, full, right? You can break that into pallets if you want, a number of pallet spots, but I'm going to give it, because it's easy this way, quarter, half, full. What I find is that you take half of the full truckload, and that becomes a quarter truck. That's usually going to get you in the ballpark of where you need to price it, and that you'll be able to still cover the load and make a little bit of money. And then on a half truck, what you're going to do is you're going to add another 50% on top of that quarter truck. So now that half truck isn't going to be 500, it's going to be 750. So now you'll have a full truck for 1,000, you'll have a half truck for 750, and you'll have a quarter truck for 500. So those will give you some basic ballpark numbers to start from. Okay. Now, there is no perfect math here, but it becomes a function of the full truckload rates. Okay. It really is a full function of the full truckload. That a 3/4 truck is basically the same. If you're going to if somebody's asking you for 3/4 of a truck, they're basically asking you for a full truckload rate. Okay. There's not much you can do if you're going to fill 3/4 of the truck. They're just going to pay a full truck. But if they want a half truck, you know, you can give it to them for a small discount of $750. Or if they want a quarter truck, then you're going to give it to them for $500. But that should give you a basic framework on how you can price a partial truckload. I hope that helps. Nico asked, Dennis, what good conventions or events do you recommend attending when prospecting for shippers? Go to the different associations associated, specific to your niche. So if you're in the steel industry, look at the different associations and groups and conventions and conferences around that niche. If you're in the produce industry, do the same. Go to the events that are specific to your niche. If you go on and search for steel industry associations, you're going to find a bunch of them. If you search on Google for steel industry conferences, you're going to find a bunch of them. Those are the ones you're going to want to do specific to your niche. Okay. So that's how simple that is. All right. One more question, then we're going to wrap it up. Here's what I would suggest, guys. If you're not on the wait list, get on the wait list. I'm going to be opening it up very soon. Again, it's the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. It's where I take that piece of my brain, I transplant it into your head. I teach you everything I know about freight broker sales, strategy, tactics, tools, but most importantly, my entire system that allowed me to do $200 million as a freight broker. And that's a coaching program. It's not just an online course. It's a coaching program where I coach and mentor you on exactly how to do what I did from a sales perspective to get shippers in any market conditions, market up, market down. Okay. So I hope that helps. All right. Last question. All right. Here's a question, long question, but I think it might work. I have a driver who gets loads directly from shippers since they went to high school together, but I have not managed to get more than that. How do I go about that? The driver keeps getting the loads and they don't want to pull the trigger and give more to us as a company. They keep just giving one load per week for the driver. And I see them post a bunch of loads on that through the brokers. Do you have a suggestion for how to break the ice and get through to them and save them money? Okay, well, here's the secret, okay? You have a driver that has a relationship with a shipper and he's getting freight for his truck and just his truck. Well, the reason why he wants to make sure he continues to get that freight, he doesn't want to give you all this, the carte blanche, because he wants to make sure he continues to get freight for his truck because that's what's most important to him. So here's what you do. Simply offer him some sort of incentive to introduce you, and that anything that happens after that, beyond that, he'll get some sort of a commission, right? Show me the incentive. I'll show you the results, right? That's the incentive that you need to give him. He's not going to, cut his hand off, right? He's not going to just give away the farm. You got to give him some sort of incentive. So say to him, listen, and if you do the introduction and you allow us to open this account up and we start doing 10 or 20 or 50 loads a week, here's what you could get. Here's how you could benefit. Here's what you could make if you help us do that. So if you want to get in, that's the secret, right? Trying to backdoor that driver is probably not going to work unless you have his good graces. So that's my biggest suggestion to you. All right. And I hope that helps, guys. Listen, I appreciate you being here. This went a full hour, so we did a lot of Q&A. We had some good questions. I really appreciate it. If you guys are curious, and maybe you're in startup mode and you're looking for Freight Broker startup training, you're just getting off the ground, you can check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com, right? Check out freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That's my startup program. Over 10,000 students who went through that program. Many of them have went on to build 6, 7, 8-figure businesses. It's an A to Z, how to get started as a freight broker. It's the most cost-effective, comprehensive online freight broker training program. That's freightbrokerbootcamp.com. Okay, that's just straight. Let me see. Let me put the URL up here so you guys know. That's freightbrokerbootcamp.com. That's the startup program. Now, the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator is not the startup program. That's an advanced coaching program specific to freight broker sales and how to get shippers in any climate using my proprietary Freight Broker Sales Accelerator methodology. Okay, so get on the wait list. Going to be opening up that very soon. I look forward to talking to you. Again, I'm going to be hand selecting a very small group of people that are going to be a part of this program. I'm excited to launch this 2.0 version of the new Freight Broker Sales Accelerator. Have an awesome week. Have an awesome day. Get on that wait list. Follow the instructions. And I hope to talk to you this week and get you enrolled in the new program. Talk to you soon, guys. Thank you so much. Oh, by the way, if you guys enjoyed this or you asked a question or you got the answer to a question, hit the like button. Before you sign off, hit the like button. Let me know that you guys enjoyed this. Let me know you guys like this, right? If you guys are enjoying this type of format, and you want me to come back and continue to do it, you got to let me know. And the only way you can vote is by hitting the like button. That's how I know. If I get 6 people that have liked this stream, it's very underwhelming. If I get 600 people that have liked this stream, well, then guess what? I'm definitely going to come back because I know that you guys value it, you appreciate it, and that I'm talking about the topics that matter to you. So hit me up in the comments with any questions you have. Maybe I'll be able to come back in throughout the week and maybe reply to some of your questions. Hit the like button. We'll see you guys next week. Maybe we'll see you in the Freight Broker Sales Accelerator Live. Have an awesome week, guys. Take care.